Coming up next on We Are Marshall Today, Marshall University marks its annual day of service. The details up next.
Plus, the Huntington community remembers a Marshall alumnus in a special way. These stories and more up next on We Are Marshall Today.
Welcome to We Are Marshall Today. I'm Leah Edwards.
And I'm Bill Bissett. One of the top goals of any university is to recruit new students. So we advertise, make high school visits, and invite prospective students to our campus.
But once a student joins Marshall University, the mission changes. Retention becomes the focus. More in this report from Clark Davis.
Keeping students connected to Marshall University is the goal of a program called the First Year Experience. It has several components, including Uni 101, Welcome Weekend, and a common reading program called One Book Marshall.
When we all come into the college, we all have our own different experiences, and we all want to try and get one baseline where each person can have a common experience with a freshman coming in that they may have never known before. They have different experiences, so we're trying to let them all have one common experience.
Patrick Murphy says this year's book selection, My Sister's Keeper, was an easy choice for the committee.
This year it was all student input that really got the book selected. The freshmen that were on the committee really were pushing towards the book that they thought that the freshmen would really connect with and having a common experience with. And to be honest, it was all student input that really got the ball rolling on this one.
My Sister's Keeper is a novel which focuses on a family dealing with medical and ethical dilemmas associated with genetic engineering. It's a topic that's generated other activities on campus like this panel discussion on stem cell research. Murphy says even if students don't like the book's subject, just reading it with others creates a connection.
When I first came in freshman year, it was Glass Castle that we all were reading, and a buddy of mine on the floor that I met, we didn't like the book at all, so we started talking about how we have to read this book, and we didn't like it. So that was just an experience that we were able to have with each other, and I think it's just all-encompassing that even if you do or don't like the book, or if you're liking the discussion, if not, it's something common that everyone can tangible that they can hold.
One Book Marshall offers several other activities associated with Sister's Keeper. Check the Marshall website for more information. For We Are Marshall Today, I'm Clark Davis.
Joining us now is Dr. Joan Wilson. She's the newest researcher in the MIIR, or Marshall Institute for Interdisciplinary Research, or as I like to call it for short, a Bucks for Brains researcher here at Marshall University. Dr. Wilson, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Let's begin at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to Marshall University.
Well, I actually love the fact that you have suggested we begin at the beginning, because that's exactly where I wanted to start. And I wanted to actually start with a quote from Clark Kerr, who's actually one of the nation's I think experts on higher education, and he delivered a series of lectures in 1963 about the uses of the university. And I'm actually quoting from a postscript that he wrote in 1982 that was in which he made predictions for the future of the American Research University. And I think this one quote is particularly relevant. So he says, "In particular, there may come to be some new peaks of excellence if strong and wise academic leadership is asserted in the South and in the mountain states where few now exist." Wow. So the reason I use this quote is that, I think President Kopp might have read this, because I think President Kopp has shown that strong and wise leadership in taking this Bucks for Brain, which is a really remarkable state initiative to create jobs from biotechnology. And to really to be very bold and use it as an opportunity to create something unique, which is embodied in this Marshall Institute. So I think, one of the reasons that I was drawn to this opportunity is really, I think, the unique opportunity that the Marshall Institute for Interdisciplinary Research creates. And I think Eric Kmetch, my boss, and I, really share and have really bought into President Kopp's philosophy that knowledge can create jobs. So I think what Eric and I both bring to the Marshall Institute is really careers that are at the interface between basic and applied research. And I think, we both have experience in commercializing biotechnology innovation. So that's a little bit about my background. And then, personally, I would just like an opportunity to really share my enthusiasm for scientific discovery and to give other students the sort of opportunities that I had, both educational and career opportunities that I had. I grew up in a small town in rural central Virginia. So, and I was educated at a state school there, William and Mary, which is the smaller and older state school in Virginia. So I think there's some obvious parallels that could be drawn there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, and I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that quote because Governor Manchin, when the Bucks for Brains concept was developed, it challenges higher education in West Virginia to be more of an economic engine, to exist on our own skills and smarts, if you will, and find ways to be not only productive for ourselves but the communities around us. And I think that is the root of it, but there is still that, I think, pressure, if you will, on researchers like you to develop these wonderful things that can be brought from the lab to the marketplace. And you mentioned your background in that. Some examples of that. I know you work within genomics, correct? Tell us a little bit about that, and what does that mean if I'm working at Walmart? How does that break from what you do in the lab, which is obviously cutting-edge research, to jobs?
Right. This is,
of course, a minute and a half or so.
That's right. It's a very challenging question to answer in the simplest of terms, but I think it comes really back to the fundamental philosophy that knowledge does create jobs. So I am a biotechnologist, a molecular biologist, and I work in this field of genomics. So how does genomics create jobs? Well, so I think we can break down the sort of the knowledge part of it into two main things. One is to innovate and create valuable intellectual property in our specific niche. And the other is to educate and train students for careers in biotechnology. And then, the other side of it, how do we actually create the jobs? Again, it's, I think we'll be most successful in bringing biotechnology industry into this region. Well, in order to be successful in bringing biotechnology companies into this region, we need to create a skilled workforce. So that's also the piece of educating and training students. Then, we also have to have valuable and interesting licensable IP. So some discoveries that we've done. In particular, the field of genomics, where we work now, there's a huge promise. There has been huge promise and much excitement in the field of genomics in the last decade or so. And as you know, within the last decade or so, the complete genomes of a number of organisms, including humans, have been sequenced. And then, the question is, the goal of all of that research was really to understand which specific genes underlie diseases, and then to develop therapies to treat those diseases based on those genes. And I actually brought another little prompt. This is a recent paper that was published, which really summarizes sort of the outcome of sequencing of the human genome, and it lists, specific genes that we now know underlie specific diseases. And what I think is remarkable is the list of genes is only 20 long, and the list of diseases is only 20 long. So, there are wonderful examples. So, for example, the estrogen receptor has been shown to, mutations in the estrogen receptor can underlie breast cancer. And there have been successful therapeutics, targeted molecular therapeutics, that bind to the estrogen receptor and inactivate it, which are wonderful treatments for breast cancer. So there have been some incredible success stories. But I think, overall, what the main lesson has been from the current state of genomics research is that the single gene determinants of diseases are actually the exception and not the rule. And the question, really becomes, well, have we missed the forest for the trees? And I think the answer is yes. The other thing we've learned from genomics research is that 98% of the human genome doesn't encode protein-coding genes, which are these things which we thought would underlie disease. So the central dogma had always been, DNA is the information database in the cell. And DNA is transcribed into RNA, which is a messenger, but a messenger only, that itself then is translated into proteins, and the proteins are the molecular functional units of the cell. But I think more and more now what we're realizing is that it's not so much the protein coding genes themselves that may be the drivers in disease, but it may be the regulation of these genes. And some of this non-coding DNA or junk DNA contains the really important regulatory elements. So that's my field of work now. And we feel that these non-coding RNAs, so not only are there opportunities to develop tools and technologies for researchers moving into this new field. So, that's an obvious way I think we can create valuable intellectual property and jobs, is just creating better picks and shovels for this new generation of scientists.
It all stems back to knowledge, too.
Absolutely. But also this whole new class of interesting regulatory molecule itself represents potential disease biomarkers and potential new targets for therapies. So it's really, the non-coding RNA has been referred to as the dark matter of the genome. It's a brand new field, and we're just beginning to understand how that can contribute really to, human health.
So it goes beyond an economic benefit into also human health benefit too.
Well, I think if you really want to add value to the economy, you have to create something that adds value. And in the biotechnology world, ultimately, improving human health is really an overarching goal.
Outstanding. Well, Dr. Wilson, we are very excited you're here. Wish you the very best of success, and we'll be watching and hopefully hearing more. And anytime you have a success, please let us know.
Great, yeah, we hope to be in again soon to report on our progress.
Excellent. Dr. Wilson, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more We Are Marshall Today.
My name's Brandon. 9 years old, being alcoholic.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
Marshall University recently unveiled a new digital laboratory that allows students the opportunity to learn new crime investigation techniques. Dr. Mike Little, who chairs the Department of Integrated Science and Technology, says the new lab will give students the tools they need in a world where crime is often unseen.
But this is an unusual frontier in that it expands. So the more that we use it, the more we develop it, the larger the frontier gets. So it's an evolving, changing, dynamic thing. And like everything else, there are always people there who not only want to do good, there are people there who want to do harm. And the people who want to do harm here can do real harm. So we're looking at a place where we really need to have protection, and this room is technological protection.
The new lab is a collaborative effort among the Department of Integrated Science and Technology, the Forensic Science Center, and the Criminal Justice Department.
He is remembered for his dedication to children's health issues and his commitment to his hometown. Dr. Paul Ambrose was killed in the September 11th attacks, but his passion for helping children lives on. The Rahal Transportation Institute sponsored the first Fit Fest earlier this month, an afternoon of physical activity that Ambrose's father says is a fitting tribute to his son.
The path in the 5K today is a very positive type of recognition of Paul and all the victims that died on 9/11. So it's quite meaningful.
FitFest 09 is just one way that Ambrose is being remembered. A 26-mile non-motorized trail named in honor of Ambrose is also in the works.
Going Greek, joining a club, or volunteering are all important for a well-rounded college experience. Marshall Student Body Vice President LaShawna Sampson says involvement outside the classroom is something that often interests employers.
The employer is looking at you saying like, well, you did good in academics, but there's no extracurricular stuff. So it's always good to have other things on your resume than just academics. And you get to meet a lot of different people because there's so many different people, so many different types of people in every organization here on campus.
Marshall University's Office of Student Activities recently sponsored a student organization fair. Sampson says Marshall has more than 180 groups.
Dozens of local businesses are going green in a new competition sponsored by Marshall University. Businesses like Pets and Things are encouraged to have their employees wear green on Fridays. The contest recognizes a business each Friday before a home game. Marketing coordinator Mallory Gerald says the contest is going very well.
We've had great response to our Green Fridays business contest. We've had over 40 businesses register for the contest, so we are very excited about that. So that means thousands of Herb fans out there wearing their green on Fridays and getting involved with the university.
They usually are sleeping in on Saturday morning, but recently hundreds of Marshall students rolled out of bed a little early.
Bill Marshall's annual day of service attracted students, faculty, and staff for a morning work party. Marshall University students are usually seen with books, calculators, and pencils, but on a recent Saturday morning, the tools of the day were paintbrushes, trash bags, and work gloves. Marshall's annual day of service is an opportunity for the Marshall community to reach beyond the traditional borders. Lisa Martin, who coordinates many volunteer activities for students, says it's a beneficial day for everyone.
They have an opportunity to get an education and to show the world that, Marshall is doing exciting things, and with those exciting things is that we give back to the community. We are a community-based university, and so we want to give back to the community here in town.
Students like Catherine Staley agree that the few hours spent volunteering is well worth it.
When you're a Marshall student, you get a lot of benefits from being at Marshall. They give you a lot of services, a lot of support, and this kind of gives you an opportunity to give back. Plus, when you're a Marshall student, you're also a Huntington community member, and this gives you an opportunity to give back to them as well.
There are obvious benefits from a day of service, cleaner sidewalks, a new coat of paint, but then there's the unseen positives.
I've been doing community service work for most of my years here at Marshall, and it's definitely something I plan on continuing. It just makes you feel empowered that you can make a difference, even in just one person can make a difference.
Approximately 200 students participated in this year's Day of Service, which was organized by Marshall's Office of Student Affairs and Student Government. Joining us now is Margie Phillips, Marshall's new Sustainability Manager. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your position, which is a brand new position for Marshall University.
Sure. Again, my name is Margie Phillips. I am married to the love of my life, Rodney. I have 3 daughters, Sarah, Amanda, and Jennifer. 2 are married, and we're expecting our grandson in the December. Let's see. I'm trying to think what you might want to know about me.
Well, it sounds like you're a busy lady with all of that family going on.
Definitely.
First grandchild coming. And you're not a stranger to Marshall because you've been here on campus for about 12 years as an energy analyst, I guess.
Correct. And actually, I started here in '97. When I started, it was a brand new position. No one had ever held it before. So this is not new to me in that position too, because I am new as a sustainability manager. This is a new department. It is the sustainability department within the physical plant. So it's an exciting time, and I'm looking forward to starting.
Well, of course, everybody is going green these days. It's so important. And as we become more knowledgeable about what we need to do to be green, I'm sure there are lots of avenues for us to explore. So as this new department has evolved and you've taken over, tell us about some of the things that Marshall University is beginning to do to become more environmentally conscious and aware.
Well, actually, we've been doing it for quite a while. Like you said, I've been doing this for 12 years. So I've always looked at utilities, how to reduce our cost, how to reduce our usage. So now it's expanded into the sustainability department, which will look at more environmental issues. So some of the things we've done is actually we started purchasing green cleaning products, and the custodial crew and staff will be using those. One of the other things is promoting recycling. We're hoping to get more involved with that issue here on campus. It's always been, a lot of people don't know it, but we've always recycled. But now we want to make it more campus-wide and actually touch some of our off-campus sites. Again, I want to encourage energy conservation, water conservation on campus. So there's lots of new things we're going to be doing, and we'll just see how it grows.
As far as energy conservation and water conservation goes, give me some actual nuts and bolts about that. How can students, faculty, and staff conserve those things?
Well, specifically in the resident halls, the students can take shorter showers. We're actually installing low-flow faucets in the resident halls all over campus. People can, instead of leaving the lights on, turn them off. And I'm teased all the time that I'm the light turner-offer, but it's actually a small way we can save energy within the university. Some other ways we can do is just by watching, if you're running your computer, turn it off at night. There's different ways we can do them, and some of the things we'll just start touching bases on as we progress in this program.
And recycling, you touched on that just a second ago. Tell me specifically about our recycling program and how do departments, students participate in our recycling program?
Okay, we've actually ordered 13 pods, which will be put all over campus. 10 will be inside of academic buildings, 3 will be on the outside. We're going to recycle paper and plastic. The main thing about the plastic bottles is that they have to be clean, because anything that would contaminate the load that we're producing would totally go into trash. So that's the one thing we're going to really emphasize, is keeping the area clean, keeping what you recycle clean. We've hired 8 students, which I'm really excited about. I get to work with the students again. So we've hired 8 student recyclers. They'll start October 1st. They'll go around to these areas, pick up the recyclables, and take those over to the compactor that we have beside the science building. That will be compacted, and we'll start getting weights of what we're actually recycling, so we'll know how much of our carbon footprint we're saving.
Oh, okay. So as you in this new position, what are you learning, and what do you think the future is going to be for Marshall University in this program?
I'm hoping that the department will just continue to grow and grow and grow. I saw where my energy analyst position grew over the years, and I'm looking forward to that with the sustainability department. I think that we could be definitely one of the leaders here in the state for environmental consciousness, and definitely, we're here to grow. So that's my main concern.
Now, our students voted approximately a year ago, I think I lost track of time,
but
for a green fee.
Correct.
And tell me, how is the green fee implemented in this sustainability program?
The green fee is actually going to be the start of the sustainability department. Part of my salary will come from the green fee. The students voted on this. It shows their commitment to the environment and that they're concerned about what, as Marshall University grows in this program, what their input's going to be. So I think it's something that really is important for them, and they've voiced that by voting that green fee in.
Have you had much feedback from students since we have started this new sustainability department?
Yes,
program?
I've been working with the Sierra Student Coalition, an environmental group here on campus, also MESA, which is part of the environmental students. So both groups are very excited. They actually came out and helped us with recycling for the first football game on September 5th. It was wonderful. They went around and they gave the tailgaters a green bag for recyclables, a black bag for their garbage, handed them a flyer that told about the recycling here on campus. And I took pictures, so the tailgaters were so excited. This was not their first time. As I said before, they've recycled before at other football games. Mm-hmm. I think it started about a year or two ago. So this was just a continuation for them, and they were just happy. I couldn't believe it. So,
will this continue at all home football games?
Every football game. We'll always have, hopefully, student volunteers that will come out and help hand out the recyclable bags and get everything going, and encourage these people to recycle. And they actually, Goodwill picks up the recyclables from the football games, so it benefits them also. And they're doing aluminum cans and plastic bottles and paper, so it's a wonderful project.
Well, it sounds like it is going really well for you, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
All right. And before we go to the break, let's meet another member of the Marshall University alumni family. Doug Martin is a teacher in Mingo County, West Virginia. He graduated from Marshall University in 2006. He's a graphic design teacher and is responsible for helping students win more than $1 million in scholarships. Martin is married to Janelle, and they have a 2-year-old son. Doug Martin, another member of the Marshall University family, spreading the word about the herd.
My name's Emily. I'm in 7 years. I'll be an alcoholic.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
He's a self-proclaimed science geek and has the reptile collection to prove it.
Marshall's Dr. Robin O'Keefe recently discovered a new species of sea lizard. It's called the laramiensis. Let's take a listen.
My name is Dr. Robin O'Keefe. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Biology here at Marshall University. I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm just a kid who never grew up. I always told my father when I was growing up I wanted to be a paleontologist, and he would laugh, and I was like, no, I'm really going to do it. And so I ended up doing it. Just kind of a failure to grow up. It's exciting at that level, but also it is really neat to feel like, you know, this animal was not known and now it is. And I really do get a charge out of that, you know, knowing that, you know, it's a new animal with lots of new interesting features, and, you know, we went out and found it, and that does feel really good, you know. But I think it feels good not because it was me who did it, but because it's a fascinating animal. And, you know, I'm fascinated by nature, and I'm fascinated by dinosaurs and by extinct animals of all kinds, and this is a really new, different kind, and that's why it's neat. Not necessarily because I did it, but because it's really cool. It's almost like finding a new species. We just wasn't known before, and now we know it. So it's significant in the sense that it's a new animal that lived on Earth and we didn't know before. So that's cool. But also, at kind of a more synthetic level, it turns out that this animal has some really interesting properties that weren't known in plesiosaurs before. It's very flat. It's very dorsoventrally flattened like this. And it has very thick rib bones in the center of its body. It also has a really strange cross-section. It almost looks like a boat in cross-section with a flat top half and a round bottom half. And so I and some of my graduate students are, first of all, working on that shape to just try to establish what the thing looked like. And second of all, to try to figure out why that shape was there. You know, what is that shape good for? This animal's really flat on top and has kind of a rounded bottom. Like I said, it's almost like a boat, you know, in cross-section. Very strange looking. So that was the new thing. I mean, that's the interesting thing about this animal, is this novel body shape. It's just, I've never known any other animal to look like this before.
That's it for this edition of We Are Marshall Today. Amazing stuff.
It is. What a great teacher.
Excellent. Next time we'll take a look at our overview of this year's Constitution Week. I'm Bill Bissett.
And I'm Leah Edwards. Thanks for watching.